Greg Grimes was recently named fire chief of the Longview Fire Department after more than 30 years in fire service. Throughout his career, he served as a firefighter, paramedic, instructor, rescue specialist, and leader during some of the state's most challenging emergencies. From teaching future firefighters to respond to natural disasters across Texas, Chief Grimes has dedicated his life to protecting others. Tonight, we'll learn more about the person beyond the badge, so let's go ahead and bring him in. Welcome in, Chief. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Welcome. It's been great. Today's been busy, so it's a good day.
Well, we wanted to kind of get to know you a little bit first, but first off, congratulations on becoming Longview's fire chief. How has the transition been?
It's been interesting. It's a little bit different than growing up in the Metroplex, so getting used to a lot less traffic has been a welcome transition. But, you know, the different job duties and the things that I'm expected to do and you know, serve the citizens, it's been a nice change. I like to be challenged, and so I have definitely received that the last year.
Well, what attracted you to Longview in East Texas in the first place?
So my fire service career actually started in Gilmer. My wife's grandparents are long-term residents of Gilmer, and I was down visiting with her back in the early 90s and met a Gilmer firefighter while I was fishing and had no idea what I wanted to do when I got out of high school, and he kind of prompted me and said, check it out. And so that's what we did. And here we are 34 years later.
Well, after kind of just starting your career in Allen, what is kind of the difference and why did this opportunity feel right to come back here?
So, being on the urban search and rescue teams, I've had the opportunity to work with some Longview firefighters, Battalion Chief. He's going to kill me now that I can't say his name. Chief Daniels, he was one of the first members from Longview Fire that I'd met. Then I got into the active shooter training after 2018 and began coming to the Longview area and training those individuals and got to really know the department members. I've always heard that they've got a great reputation. I trained with some in Swiftwater School, so it just felt right. And I love the East Texas region. My wife's grandparents were from here, this area. My sister used to live in Longview. I've got family in Athens, Kilgore, and Palestine, so it was just a natural draw to this part of the state. And I was ready to move on from the Allen Fire Department. I'd done my time there, and so it felt like it was a good time to transition.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like sometimes your path leads you in different areas in different ways, and it really is cool that it brought you back here.
Right,
yeah.
right.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about the Longview Fire Department. What
Sure.
impressed you first about the department so far?
Longview is kind of an island on its own. It's the largest city in Gregg County, and so that organization has to respond to every emergency, whether it be a technical rescue, a hazardous materials incident, a dive recovery operation. They do it all. And in the Metroplex, those resources are shared because there's so many departments in the area. Not one department, aside from Dallas and Fort Worth, really specialize in everything. And so it was interesting to see that an organization of this size serves the greater East Texas region and the counties in the East Texas Council of Governments. And so that was really the draw, and it just super friendly. I felt like I was at home.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of places here feel like home, but Longview for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's not too far from us. Too.
They accepted the stranger from the Metroplex, and so it was with open arms, and it was
love
great.
That.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about your life of service, because you began your fire service career more than 30 years ago. Am I spot on with that? Okay, cool. I was like, I'm taking a wild guess here. But what inspired you to become a firefighter in the first place?
Well, like when I said I had gotten out of high school and didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was not an academic wizard, so going off to college wasn't something that I was interested in doing, and I love being outdoors. I love being nosy and seeing what's going on, what's causing all the ruckus, and so the fire department just kind of fit. I challenged myself to introduce myself to that world with Allen volunteers back in the day when I was super young, and I just got bit by the bug, and it kind of drew me in.
Man, I've never bit by the bug. I've never heard that one before. That's a new one, Chief.
The fire bug.
Well, was there someone like, for me, I always have someone, like, I look up to my dad. I also look up to my sister. Everybody's got kind of like that person that helped shape their life, their career. Who would you say helped shape yours and the leader you've become?
Definitely my dad. He was a hard worker, high school educated, provided so much for the family. His work ethic is unbelievable. I have a twin brother, and we both look up to the dad. But he was in communications at Southwestern Bell, and so there was really nobody that inspired me to get into the fire service other than that gentleman I ran into in Gilmer. That's where it piqued my interest, and so I wish I could think of his name. I don't know if he's around anymore or not, but I would definitely say thank you for letting me stumble into this wonderful career.
Well, let's kind of talk about the different roles in your career, because you have worked nearly every rank in the fire service. How has each role kind of changed your perspective?
Well, as a firefighter paramedic starting off, everything's new and exciting
And busy.
and busy and busy. When you're the rookie, you get to do a lot of the chores, which is just one of those one of those rites of passage as the new firefighter. As you move up in the ranks to driver, then you are responsible for getting the crew there in that large apparatus and getting water to the hose lines where it's needed. Becoming a supervisor at the rank of captain, I was pretty early on doing that, and so now you're in charge of a station and a crew, and so now you're in your management world and learning to handle people, which turns out is a bigger challenge than handling any kind of emergency out there in the world, especially when you're living with somebody 24 hours a day, a third of the year. They become your second family, and so you have to manage a lot of different personalities. Went to battalion chief after that, which I was managing 5 stations, so roughly 40 people. I stayed there for 10 years, was the highest ranking shift person for 15 years. And then I promoted to assistant chief operations in 2018. And the level of responsibility keeps growing.
You don't say.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think each role played like a significant part in kind of building your career and where you got
Right.
to now. So would you say every part of that service was worth it?
Absolutely. It was challenging every step, and it was a little bit unnerving, not knowing what I was getting myself into, because I was very comfortable in doing what I was doing prior to. But I felt like if I didn't promote at an early age, our department was very young back then, and I might not get the opportunity. So I had some struggles there, being the young kid that was promoting up over some of the more senior guys. But they were fortunate. I was fortunate in that they allowed me to learn from them. Just because I had the rank didn't mean I had the knowledge at the time, and so I was very thankful for their lending their thoughts and their insights on incidents where I might not have the best idea or have the what it was going to take to get it done. But it's definitely a team effort.
Well, being in the state of Texas, obviously, we've had some natural disasters
Yes.
and some things that you've probably responded to at some point. But you deployed with Texas Urban Search and Rescue Teams during those disasters, a few of
Correct.
them. I won't say all of them because I'm sure not all of them. But what have those experiences taught you, especially under a lot of pressure?
So I joined Task Force 1, Texas Task Force 1, back in 2010, and really got into the special operations world about then. And when I say special operations, I'm talking about rope rescue, trench, confined space, hazardous materials, that kind of stuff. It really just made me feel like I was an integral part of a much larger response capability, representing representing the state of Texas, and we traveled throughout the United States, assisting other communities. And so, as far as the pressure goes, you just lean on those around you that's been there before, and they'll help you through it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talk about those experiences that you go through as a firefighter or as a chief, getting to go through, some of those experiences that nobody wants to have, right? How do you mentally prepare for, a search and rescue like that?
Again, you just lean on your training. It's one of those things that I think if you're driven to seek out this industry, or once you gain an interest in this industry, you just accept the challenge of trying to fix things, and that's really, here lately, it's if somebody doesn't really know how to problem solve, they call the fire department. We'll figure it out. And that's just on a grander scale when you get into one of those complex organizations and complex responses to an incident like a hurricane or a flood or something like that.
Yeah, especially with all the rainfall that we've been getting. You never know how
We've
many
got
calls
teams
you're
out
gonna
right
get.
now. Part of our Longview teams are out right now assisting the state in the South.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about balancing, staying calm while trying to make those split-second decisions. Is that part of your training as well, or how do you
Yes.
I wonder how you prepare for something like that because
Oh.
one, I'm in news, so we have to make those split-second decisions, right?
Right.
But I don't really think that there's anything that you can do to prepare. But being a firefighter, being part of that team, is there something specifically that you guys train with?
I think it's just the exposure to the training over and over and over again. It kind of dulls your emotions a little bit. That's good in some ways and bad in others. Sometimes you wind up being emotionally unavailable, as someone might say. But you have to remain calm in the face of the emergency, because if we're losing it, then that doesn't bode well for the entire scene. So it's definitely a taught experience. Sometimes you're scared to death on the inside, but you just keep going because that's what's expected.
Yeah, well, I mean, training all comes down to, that moment
Right.
as well. And so you really hope that everything just kind of pans out, which is
Correct.
awesome. But let's talk about leading the department because every chief has a vision. What is your vision or priorities for the Longview Fire Department?
Well, we're definitely a busy organization as compared to where I came from. We're about twice the number of calls a year. EMS is about 85 to 89% of that, and so really preparing the department for even greater challenges as the city grows in response capacity. So, where's the next station going? What's the next ambulance gonna? When is it gonna be here? I could probably say that we need it now. But we're making things work and we're doing well. So I would say just preparing the organization for the next 20 years. And we've started working as a group on a strategic plan. I've got a great group of individuals that are interested in helping see where this organization is going to be long after I'm gone. So they're helping me out with that, and it'll be their organization. It is theirs, but it'll be theirs in the future for sure when some of the more senior administrators are gone. And they'll get to take the reins and go from there.
Okay, so my question of the night would probably be more on the technology side because technology is changing just drastically.
Right.
And every single corporate work field, whether it be locally, nationally, whatever it might be. How is, technology or innovations kind of changing for a fire department like Longview Fire? Is there anything that excites you in that aspect?
Well, honestly, the tower rescue that we had back in February, the drones were a huge asset. Trying to judge where to put crews at certain intervals on that tower was almost impossible on the ground with binoculars because your point of view is just so skewed. To be able to put a drone up there and check on the rescuers, check on the patients, and then use the altimeter to place them on the tower, that type of technology wasn't around, 10 years ago? If it was super expensive, and fire departments weren't quite a hold of that yet. So that's an interesting portion. I don't fly one myself, but we have some guys that do, and we're thankful they're there, along with Longview PD and Gregg County Sheriff. They all pitched in that day with their own drones, and so we had 3 at the time, and we could alternate them when
That's
one needed a
cool.
battery change. So yes, that's the really interesting part about drone technology. Is just the cameras are amazing. They have thermal capabilities, so we can
Yeah.
put them up over fires if we needed to. We don't have that one yet, but hopefully in one day
We're working
we'll
on
be
it.
there. We'll be there. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then in the world of EMS, we're looking at getting these point of contact ultrasounds, and so we can check for internal bleeding. Or we can check,
interesting.
on if there's a pregnant female that we want to check on, the fetus and see how it's moving or if it's moving and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of technology there that we're
Lots of
gonna break
innovations.
into. Yes,
Very
absolutely.
interesting,
A
yeah.
lot more on the ambulance back when I was riding it. Thankfully.
I believe things have just changed dramatically that I'm like, I want to see everybody's point of view and,
Right.
and kind of where that's coming from and what's next for you guys. Well, let's talk about life beyond the badge because everybody's got a life outside of work, believe it or not. I know you probably have a life outside of work.
I do. I try to.
Well, firefighters often become second family. How important has your own family been throughout your career?
I could not have done it without them. My wife I married my high school sweetheart, so we've been married 34 years now. We have 2 daughters. 28 and 25, and so they've grown up in the fire service as well, known as Chief Grimes' oldest daughter and Chief Grimes' youngest daughter, not by their real names. That's how they were always introduced. So family is tremendous. My wife, she held down the fort at home while I was gone on training events, on USAR deployments, on shift, working extra shifts. So family is everything. Her parents helped with the kiddos as well, and my parents helped with the kiddos. Her sister, we all lived fairly close, and so I certainly sing the praises of what they've done over the years, because I would not be in this position if it had not been for them, for sure.
Of course. Well, let's talk a little bit more about outside of work. Do you enjoy hunting, spending time on the lake? What do you enjoy most about just being outside of the office most of the time?
I do enjoy outside, just straight up outside, get out. I spend a lot of time in the office, so I grew up hunting and fishing. My dad had some property in Paris that we grew up on. I had a deer lease in West Texas. Now I have a property out in Marshall that it's actually my own that I get to hunt now.
Nice.
So I'm doing a lot of care and maintenance of that property. I do, like I said before, we've had a boat for 30 years, and then we just got back from Lake Ouachita in Arkansas, so we're lake rats every opportunity we get.
There's a lot of lakes.
Well, Lake of the Pines has not been kind to my boat, so just got it out of the shop.
Oh boy!
But you live and learn, right?
Yeah, I think everybody does if they're a boat person. But let's talk about a quiet weekend. If you weren't working, say you had some time off from the family, the kids, just your second family, of course. What would you be doing?
Oof, what would I do?
Would you sleep?
I do like to sleep. I try to sleep late, but the dogs don't allow me to do that. Okay. So it would probably be just tinkering around out in the shop, and then late in the evenings, I like to sit on the back patio, smoke a cigar, and watch the feeders down in the bottom part of the property and see what comes out.
He loves the outdoors. He loves the outdoors. And so kind of taking it back to hunting, because I'm an avid hunter as well. I grew up hunting in Encinal, Texas with my dad.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of whitetail hunting. I'm slowly getting into bird hunting, doing some dove and stuff like that. It's not going very well because essentially I probably should have learned when I was 7 to get good at it.
You'll get there.
By my mid-20s. My dad was on a shooting team, so he tries to teach me as nicely as he can, and I'm just not getting, nothing's getting through my head. What kind of hunting do you enjoy?
I would say yes. Obviously whitetail.
Okay.
The West Texas place that I was on was just covered in feral pigs, and the ranch, the landowner was like, take out as many as you can take out, and so we bought thermal night scopes and suppressors and all that good stuff, and so we would hunt whitetail in the daylight hours and pigs at night, and so I do like to bird hunt. There was a lot of quail out there, not so much turkeys, but dove and quail were a lot of fun. Maybe not so much birds anymore now that I'm in East Texas, but I'll still stick with the whitetails.
Well, there's a lot of fishing in East Texas.
There is a lot of fishing.
If you know about these lakes,
yes.
We have a lot of fishermen in East Texas.
Yes.
And they love to go bass fishing and do crappie fishing, that sort of thing. Is anything along that line something that interests you?
Oh, absolutely. I had a bass boat for a while, so I would fish during the week when I was on shift, and then I would take the wife and the kids out on the wakeboard boat on the weekends, because they were like, we're not getting on that bass boat. But there is some individuals in the Longview Fire Department and even retired captains that are fishing guides on Lake of the Pines, and they've extended offers for me to come out and fish with them, and I'm looking forward to it. I just got to squeak out some time to do it.
Some free time, right? Maybe one day you'll get some quiet time.
Right.
Finally, last question. If you could thank every firefighter that either watches this segment or you see at work, what would you want them to hear?
Ooh, I didn't get into the fire service to be a fire chief. My goal was battalion chief, and I kind of hit that early, and then as I worked on my formal education and kind of saw the longevity of being in administration, I thought, well, I'll give it a shot. So I say that to say, don't underestimate yourself. Anything's possible if you just put your mind to it, and keep plugging away. One of these days you'll get to retire, hopefully.
Well, I think we can all hope for retirement at least someday. Chief Grimes, thank you so much for joining us here for this and getting to know you a little bit more. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we'll see you along the road.
I will be out there.